Okay, so on Friday morning I went to the Indiana Dunes Birding Festival Bird Banding 101, and it was really neat. We got to see a lot of different birds. We weren't allowed to walk up to the nets or photograph the nets or video the nets, but they did set up a huge net all the way across here, really thin, so the birds can, fly into it and fall into the little baskets they had, the little baskets they had over there. And they pull the birds out very carefully and put them in a little bag, and then what you're going to see in the footage up here is after they're in the bags, they set them over there so they're safe. They'll pull the bird back out, and then they have to take all this research documentation. They actually measure the bird's skull, they identify what kind of bird it is, they look at the feathers and try to age the bird. And they weigh the bird and everything. They write it all down. To bird band, they have to have a permit to do it, and it's only if they have a valid research question and valid research they're doing. So it's not just anybody that can go out and catch and band birds. It's only researchers that are allowed to do it. So the next few minutes I'm going to show you kind of what they were doing at the bird banding, and identifying some of the different birds and releasing them. I got to release a catbird right out of my hand, but you won't see that because I couldn't film it and still do it at the same time. And it didn't sit there very long. It was as soon as they let their hand go, it was gone. Most of the birds took off right away when they were released. They didn't sit there very long. Enjoy. Oh, there it goes. They released the wren. Nope, he's gone. Aww.
Yeah, wrens are so right now, I can age a bird a second year, born last year. I can say an ASY, not born last year, but an adult. And then an AHY, can any bird that wasn't born this year, any bird is an AHY after a hatch year bird, wasn't born this year. But there are certain birds that we can't determine an after second year bird because we don't know if it was born last year. Good example are cardinals. When cardinals come off of the nest, they actually start to replace their feathers, their flight feathers and all their body feathers. They start to replace them, but by their first fall, they've replaced all of their feathers. So I can't see the difference between those greater coverts and the primary coverts. So I would have no idea how to age it, except that I can age it as an after hatch year bird because I know no cardinals have been born so far this year. Mm-hmm. So that's a fantastic question. So we're gonna look at this. I'm hoping to be able to find a bird that shows us some breeding.
When you get a chance, you got someone that walks in your room.
Oh, okay, great.
Just show them what you got.
I will. This bird isn't showing any breeding signs. All right, so we have a gray catbird. And we are going to put on a 1A band. So I think a lot of catbirds came in last night.
Should be 48.
All right. So, oh good, we've got a warbler. That's great.
Oh, wow.
That's 48, yeah. So I take the band, I'm going to open it.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm holding the leg. And we just put the band on. And now we have a band of birds. I'm going to show a person online.
Oh, nice.
All right. So we'll take a couple of measurements. Oh, the tarsus is 29.5. Oh, I hear a red bus in that hatch. 12.85.
Oh.
Yeah. That would be fun to catch in a minute.
Yeah.
45.07. Did I give you all the numbers?
Aww.
Wing is 85. Tail.
So have these birds been flying together?
Most, some birds fly in flocks, 73. Like hummingbirds, they're loners. A lot of birds are loners. They don't fly in with each other. 70 on the tail. But they do tend to arrive about the same time.
Boy, that's a long flight by yourself.
Oh, it sure is. Absolutely. But some birds do, they congregate together. I think I forgot to give you the
Aww.
common. I took it, I just didn't give it to you. Silly me. 13.11. So now we're going to weigh it. So we're weighing the bird. Does 38 sound right?
Yes.
Okay. It was 38.4. All right.
Aw.
Yeah, we're losing some feathers.
No bird catchers.
Gray catbird.
Biting.
And the last thing that we're going to do, again, is we're going to try to age this bird. This is a pretty easy one. Okay,
Oh yeah, the
so help
tail.
me out. Does that tail look good?
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. It looks really ratty. So if I've held on to this since I was born last year, it would look pretty ratty. And the other thing is, you know how we're talking about high quality sheets and low quality sheets? This is the perfect example of that. So look at these feathers here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're spread real far apart. Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, they're both.
Oh yeah. So this is an after second year bird. Then this is a second year bird. So you can see the difference in how these are just not high quality feathers. The tail has a bunch of nicks in it. This, yeah, and this tail is nice and shiny.
Wow.
Where this is dull, and it's got some gray edging on it. Where this is black, you can tell that it's been replaced. So that's the difference. That's the very subtle difference that we're looking for. Very, very subtle. The other thing is when you're an adult, you have these your wing feathers. Look at how nice quality those are. They're nice and rounded, where these are more pointed.
Oh, gone. That one's gonna be gone too, really fast. Gone.
This bird is really
Aw.
all birds are.
Did we use other campers?
Yeah, that's fine. All right. You're gonna help me ID it. Oh, yes. So this is a warbler. This is a common yellowthroat. And can you tell me, do I have a male or a female?
Male.
Yeah. So on our catbirds, we can't tell if we've got male or females. But when we get a hold of a warbler, the males look much different than the females. The females have to sit on that nest and they have to hide, where your males are going to be cute and beautiful so that they can catch as many females as they possibly can. All right.
When did they change the name from Maryland Yellowstone?
That's a great question. I don't, well, I've been birding for 15 years and haven't heard that one. So it's been a while ago.
He's been doing it a few more.
Yeah, I was
Yeah. My ornithology course was 51.
It needs to have a different name than common.
Yeah.
We are looking at 34.
34.
Poor little catbird over there.
And I know. I love these birds. And I'll tell you what, the female of the common yellowthroat, she's one of the hardest birds to ID
Hmm.
because she's so plain. You know, you've got this adorable male, and then you get this plain, I mean, there's plain Jane.
Yeah.
Every year when I first start my banding season and I catch the female common yellowthroat, I really have to sit there and just look and think, all right, what have I got?
Aw.
It took me a couple of years to really figure out how to ID them because there's just nothing there to give you a hint. All right, so she's got a band on that, or he's got a band on now.
Mhm.
We'll do a couple measurements.
27.5 for tarsus.
And we'll do the tarsus. Is 21.72. And 8.59.
Wow.
Is it coming?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful bird.
30.47. 54. And 54.
41.5 for skull.
So he's not showing any signs of breeding. Again, I came in just recently. Doesn't have a cloacal protuberance yet, but we can call this a male because it's definitely got all of the signs of a male. And
So they breed here in the park.
yes, and they're
Oh, wow.
they're probably one of the most common warblers that you'll ever see throughout Indiana.
3 for fat.
If you see them.
So I'm looking at the quality of these feathers. I am looking at the Olulas, which are A1, A2, A3.
You just saw one?
And I'm looking at the hummingbird that just flew over.
Aw.
Right, and I'm looking at the tail. Now, common yellowthroats. Where do you find common yellowthroats?
Ditches,
After second.
Yeah.
wet ditches.
Wet.
Yep, they like marshy water. They also they will hang out in low stature prairies. They're the ones that when you're taking a walk, if you're at a state park or a national park, and you keep hearing this witchy, 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 or probably a common yellowthroat because they are everywhere. All right, so this bird, you're going to help me. I want everybody to become a bird bander today and learn something. You're going to help me age this bird. And if you look at the tail, pretty much gives him away. So I'm looking at quality. And if you look at the tips of the feathers here, so is that real pointy? Yeah? Does it look like it's kind of falling apart? Do you think that's a real high quality feather or is that a low quality feather right there? Pretty low? Yeah. It's pretty low. So this bird is a second year bird. It was born last year. And but birds are pretty amazing, and he's not even a year old, and he's ready to breed.
Wow.
So he's getting ready. He's not showing those signs yet, but he's going to soon. So if anyone's on here, I'm going to bring the common yellowthroat up to you so that you can see it.
He's so cute.
Yeah, look at that. So this is a second year male common yellowthroat. Be able to see that back and see that mask.
Oh, so cute.
Great bird. All right. So I need no fat, and let's get a weight here.
Aw. A beautiful bird.
Do you have a special column for hummingbirds? Is that like
Yeah, I'll show you my hummingbird equipment. Hopefully I got it out.
It's so smaller than
Oh, good. All right.
Oh,
We put right in there. This is 10.2. And Libby's gonna take him out. So if anyone wants to look at that and let that go, that's fantastic. Here, so I'll show you the hummingbird band.
You're gonna let him go.
So for hummingbird banders, the banding lab is fantastic about non-hummingbirds. So when they send bands, they send them. They're already rounded. They are
There he goes.
ready. 6.4.
How often do you catch birds that maybe have injuries and they sometimes go into
You know, it happens, but I don't catch very many. And it's usually an injury where sometimes with some birds they can get a wing strain when they get into the net because they've struggled so much at times. But usually with those we can put in a jar, little warming jar, keep them warm, put a couple holes in it, hold them for about a half an hour, and then release them. They just need to calm themselves down sometimes. So I have
Oh wow.
I don't have very many that that we have to take to a rehabber. I once had hummingbirds that we had caught, and I think it was already injured. And so we put it in a bucket with a feeder in it, and I got a hold of a rehabber thinking that we were going to have to give it to the rehabber. And this is no joke. I started to hand the hummingbird to the rehabber, and the hummingbird flew off.
Oh.
So she had come like an hour away to pick up this bird, and it was absolutely fine. Oh yeah, this is a great comparison.
Yeah, it is.
So
Especially the throat.
you can see both of these birds up
Oh,
close
wow.
next to each other. So this is why when you're at your feeders and you're looking around, that you could get these birds confused. It's not hard because if you look out
Oh,
really
the yellow.
quickly and you don't see the yellow on the white-throated sparrow, you could easily think that it was a white crowned sparrow. So white crowned
wow.
sparrow and white-throated sparrow. White-throated sparrow. That's a really neat tail. Oh, wow.
I just
Cool
saw
bird.
that. I was like,
All right. People ask me how do I do the hummingbird banding? No, I do not walk. I don't run around, or nor Carl. We don't run around with a butterfly net trying to catch them. It would be okay, but I think I would run out of energy. Like I say, we banded 544 new ruby-throated hummingbirds right off of our front porch last year. And so this is the way that we capture our hummingbirds. This is a homemade trap. And a hummingbird, what we do is we take all of the feeders down, because if you leave even one hummingbird feeder, we used to take our hummingbird feeders down and set them under our bench on the front porch, and we noticed that we weren't catching any birds, and it was because the hummingbirds immediately found where we had put the hummingbird feeders. So you have to hide them. We have to bring them inside when we have a little cabinet that we put them in. So you take all of your hummingbird feeders down, and then one hummingbird feeder comes in here and hangs from this hanger. And it's set up to where when the hummingbird goes in to this hole, it will immediately be able to start feeding. And then most hummingbirds, now not all, because a lot of these ruby throats they'll trick us out. But once they go in, most hummingbirds will fly up when they're done feeding. Unless you know that there's a hole in a trap, and then you'll just back out. Because,
You leave your
hummingbirds are
garage
kinda
door
cool.
open.
Exactly.
You never get
So
'em out.
there's nothing mechanical about this. So we do have another feeder that is hooked up to a garage door opener that you can just click and the door will come down, which is nice. But if I'm trying to get a special bird, like if it was a winter hummingbird, and I really wanted to catch it, that's the kind of trap that I would use. But this works just fine for our purposes. We usually put up about 3 to 4 traps at a time, so that we can process the birds. On hummingbirds, I can process them in about less than a minute. It doesn't take very long, and so that's how we catch them. Then once they're inside, they're usually flying up at the top. They don't know to come back down to get out. And Carl or whoever is taking them out just puts their hand in here, and we cup the bird, and then it goes into a bag very similar to what we have. And so this is our trap. And we'll put it up and see if we can catch a hummingbird today, because I did bring my equipment to do that. That would be fun if we could catch one. And he seems to be interested. So
we hung the feeder yesterday, and a boy found it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
A couple free snacks, and then we'll see if we can do a process.
But we're starting to find out some really nice information about the hummingbirds. So when I banded 2 days ago and decided in the late afternoon to go ahead and try to see what hummingbirds that we had that had come back so far. I banded, I think it was, I captured, I think like 10 hummingbirds, and I think probably, let me see, 6 had bands on them already.
Oh, wow.
So they had come back to, again, they come back usually to the same location.
Oh.
But I had 3 females, and just like these songbirds, where we're putting them on their back and we're blowing in their belly area and the abdomen area, I was able to determine that 3 of the females that I had, well, all of the females that I had, the 3 were already breeding.
Oh wow.
So when I blow, I can see their abdomen area is translucent. I can see the egg, and I can also see if she's gravid. Well, which means that she has an egg. But if she's gravid, it's there's a lot of fluid in this area, and sometimes I can actually see the egg. So once they come back, the female has she's already started to build her nest. She's located the area that she's going to breed, and she gets busy. She's ready to start her breeding process. So these birds have already done that in central Indiana, the ones that came back earlier. So what's nice about banding is that then I can count up in 5 weeks. I can almost guarantee that I'll start banding, during my banding session, I'll start looking for hatchier birds. Because it takes about 5 weeks for her to get this whole process done once she lays those eggs. So by, let's see, where are we? By about the late part of June, I'll start seeing some hatchier birds. There we go.
Aww.
Why is this called a yellow warbler? Look at here.
Oh,
wow, look at that.
beautiful.
Get a nice up close look at the yellow warbler. Isn't it gorgeous? I'm gonna bring it over here so if we have someone watching, you'll be able to see our yellow warbler we just caught. Beautiful bird.
Aww.
Sure.
Beautiful.
All right. So notice some things about the yellow warbler is we have some streakiness at the side. They're feisty. And I absolutely love to look at the tail, because that's something, they're usually pretty high up in the trees or flying around the marsh, and you just don't get to see a really good close up. So look at all the yellow.
Beautiful.
On these tail feathers. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And the yellows are different colors of yellow on this bird.
Greenish.
Yeah.
Now the male and female's the same color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Female typically don't have the red, don't they, you know?
Yeah, they don't have as much red. Mm-hmm.
Adorable.
All right, so let's get a band on this bird.
It was my bird, by the way. No, my homework bird, Amy.
Oh, good. All right. So as I'm getting the band on, then Lena's going to talk about her bird.
Yeah, they actually have something, I found out something new too, but they're very neat birds. They're very widely distributed in Northern America. And there's, you guys know the brown-headed cowbirds? And then parasites, right, they lay their eggs somewhere else. Well, they're not supposed to be this far east in the western plains, so they're not going to distribute a lot. But since these guys are very, in the area where they used to live, they've adapted to brown cowbirds. Very few passerines that we have here have adapted to them, so they recognize, they're one of the few species here that will recognize a cowbird egg. And they tend to just build a nest right on top of that old nest, abandon it, and lay new eggs in it. And there was a report of where they found 6 nests on top of each other.
Wow.
Where kept on. About 40% of the nests will have a cowbird egg to some extent, and you know, they try to, but sometimes they will still raise a cowbird that is way bigger than that. And they have a special alarm call just for when they see cowbirds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Huh.
So both male and female will have a special alarm call for that.
Wow.
And that has evolved in recent decades?
Cowbirds, it's been probably about 100 or so years that they've expanded the distribution with kind of habitat changes and, you know, no longer having the bison to follow really.
So
but
19.93.
they have already evolved for thousands of years with them because they were living in the same area, they were overlapping. So a lot of our warblers here
8.36.
have never, that's still new to them, so they have no adaptation to that.
29.33.
Common yellowthroats are the other ones that recognize cowbird eggs.
Yellow warbler. And the wing cord is 64.
Yellow and black.
Wow.
Tail
On the back
is 42.
Warblers with female yellow throats and whatnot.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've actually never.
He is a male.
Seems to be almost
And he has a
fairly obvious
CP
because
of
the time year
3.
too, when the other ones become a bit more yellow.
Usually if you get them from the back side.
And there's some populations where the males have a kind of a reddish, darkish head.
Hmm.
But we don't have
This is an
those here.
ASY.
How about that?
None.
Okay.
And now
The bag is on,
where-
doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
The bag is on the scale, does it matter at all?
It's not on the
Oh,
wing.
yeah,
but
it's not on the way. Yeah.
And because of banning, we know like at least the oldest report in the wild was a bit over 11 years old. That 11 years
Oh,
later
wow.
we captured a.
9.5.
That's, you know, didn't know that they can get that old.
Wow.
It's
5-6
amazing.
Aw.
All right, so I'll bring this around so everyone can see this bird. So this is an ASY, meaning it wasn't born last year. That's what we know about this bird. Male.
Aw.
And I want to show you how beautiful this bird is. Got a greenish back. Tail feathers are absolutely beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Also, if you like coffee in
And it's got
Costa
this
Rica,
streakiness.
it reduces one of the main coffee pest beetles.
Oh, wow.
All right, so if anyone wants to get a picture, you're welcome to.
Touch it.
Aw. Beautiful.
So just put your finger on the back like that. Yeah, there you go.
Aw.
Me, I always need volunteers, but it depends on how far. What about you, Libby?
Station dependent. Some of
Yeah,
the ones I'm
yeah.
at, it's like more the merrier. Some I'm at are like we got 4 people, that's enough.
So is there a way to kind of watch online and see if there's any?
It can't hurt to contact the band.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you just have to learn if there's a bander around. You all are gonna have to help me out with this. Cute bird.
Oh, wow.
All right. You got the easy one. Let's trade. All right, get your books out. So, do we have a couple of books? Where, let's see here. Or your apps?
idea.
Yeah.
This is
What do you think? What do you think?
I haven't seen those. I don't see like in the fall.
Oh, do they have apps?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
I'd say that one's swamp.
that one like
I'm like, oh,
This
Yep.
one.
link.
So we
There's that
say
one.
swamp.
Okay, can you tell me which one this is the more common one? Swamp.
Swamp.
Okay, how do you know it's a swamp sparrow?
Right. Face.
Exactly. You can usually tell by the back and the face. There are a couple of things that when I look at a swamp sparrow that I look for is the gray. It's kind of got gray in the face. It's kind of got a whitish throat, but the back usually gives it away because it's a reddish sparrow. So this reddish right here, that's what I tend to ID first. So I look for that reddish and the gray. Do you look for anything else, Libby?
I get their song a lot. Yeah, if you hear that trill here, like in this kind of habitat, it's chipping, but if you hear it back in a wetland, probably the swamp.
So, anyone ID this one for me?
Lincoln's.
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
So,
Wow.
I was a little. This is one that I only get on migration, and I might see one or two of these a year. That's it.
I said Amy's going to be really excited about that Lincoln sparrow.
Yes, I am. So what kind of what's distinguishing from these two sparrows? So if you see these out when you're bird watching, what would you be looking for that's a difference between the two sparrows? So does this one have reddish on the back?
No.
Does it have as much gray on the sides
No.
of its face? Nope. And what does its bib look like?
Streaky.
So it's and it's creamy. So there's kind of a bib right here that it is kind of creamy. So it goes from cream to white.
Huh.
And lots of streaking. And the other thing about these birds that I kind of look at is it's got a spectacle. It's not a big spectacle at all. But if you look at the eye, you can kind of see that it does have an eye ring, a light one.
You want to pluck a cuticle picker? They do. They have a knack for that.
Yeah.
Bubba. They're
Oh,
fun
there
to
it
see in the
goes.
hand because they're awfully cute.
They're super cute.
There it is.
Oh. Sounds like a dog whining. Oh my gosh, they're so adorable.
Oh, you're going to replicate it?
Oh, you're gonna peck you.
I'm gonna bite you.
And you might notice as he's doing it for a while, we might get swarmed.
Uh-oh. By
So what
others?
he's doing is
Oh.
he's
I guess friends.
it's alerting all the other birds that there's trouble.
Oh boy.
There's a predator and I need help.
Oh.
So
Oh, I heard another one.
Yeah, so I heard that.
I just heard another one.
they're awfully cute, but
They're adorable.
I don't know if it makes up for that noise.
Oh.
Almost.
Now he's quiet.
They're the squealing pigs of the bird world.
No, another bird. The excitement, another titmouse.
Sometimes you get a flock of them and then not at the same time.
Aw.
Oh, there it is again.
Aw. So cute. Help, help, help.
And it's all drama.
Yes, yeah.
It's all dramatics. It's 81.
They're adorable. One of my favorite birds.
68.
Look like what you guys look like when you take off the hats.
Aww.
Wait, you already have them.
I just put it on.
Oh, okay.
Brand new.
Mm-hmm.
You are the quickest person on
These guys you gotta get done quick. 21.8.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Come on.
Angry bird.
Come on, buddy.
31.1.
Aww.
And 8.8. You'd think if he was biting me, he wouldn't be able to make the noise at the same time. They're talented.
The skull measurement?
32.1.
Thank you.
Yes. No worries. Numbers get lost.
No, but I switched them around. So I was like,
No brood patch, no CP. Two for fat.
These are my least favorite bird to band. So Libby was kind enough to take this off.
Take one for the team.
Yeah.
I should have seen her face when I said, "There's another bird." And she's like, "Another her face.
These titmice, they know where your cuticles are. They peck and they
He's a
won't draw
second
blood
year.
just because they know it. They're very, very fierce birds.
That's fine.
They're a little bit
unknown.
mighty.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with second. All right. Does anybody want to? Oh, wait. Yes.
Wait.
Remember this time.
He's not gonna like this top.
Aww.
No, I will eat you. You will be afraid of me. Maybe it thinks it's going into the mouth. You will be afraid of me. If you don't stop, I'll peck you.
24.9.
It's actually biting.
Yes, and they move their beaks back and forth too.
They grab at you and then shake their head like a puppy.
Look at her.
Like to touch that.
Right? Is anybody brave enough to let this
They
guy
don't
go?
care.